Welcome back to CBN Unscripted, everyone. My name is Jasmine Monk, and I'm your host. And I'm really excited about today's episode because we have a very special guest, Coach Jonathan Beyer, and he is the head bowling coach at Dallas Baptist University. And honestly, really, what's interesting about Jonathan's story is that he's someone that competed right at the next level collegiately with bowling, and then he jumped right into coaching after that. And so he's a part of the next generation of leaders in collegiate bowling, especially when it comes to coaching at that next level. And so I'm really excited to have him on. He earned his bachelor's and his MBA from Oklahoma Christian, if that's correct.
Mhm.
And now he's leading one of the top collegiate programs in Texas, right here in my hometown in Dallas. So, Coach Beyer, thank you so much for coming on and speaking with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course, of course. So, I want to just kind of go back a little bit and talk a little bit about your youth. So, you grew up in Dallas, which, some can argue is maybe one of the strongest bowling areas, maybe not. But kind of, I just wanted to talk a little bit about like what was the bowling culture like growing up for you?
Yeah, so I started in youth leagues when I was 10 or 11 years old. And we're lucky in this area. We have a lot of high school bowling programs. And so I would say that's really when bowling took off for me, was when I got the chance to get to the high school program, because it's a pretty high level of competition. There's a
Yeah,
lot
it
of
is.
programs, they're
Yeah.
really competitive with each other, but there's a pretty extensive match schedule. And then I would say there's very little as competitive comparisons to the Texas High School State Tournament. That is just an outstanding event. It's something we go to recruit every year for a reason. But it's highly competitive, lots of talent. Just it's amazing to see how many really good youth bowlers there are in this state. But a lot of them do come from the North Texas area.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
had some pretty stiff competition growing up, as you imagine, in the area. But I think
Hmm.
that made me better, right? Rolling up to a tournament and seeing some of those guys. Um, but I was in high school bowling on the high school team. My dad was
It's
coaching the high
awesome.
school team at the time,
Wow,
so
that's
that was fun.
awesome. That's cool.
Uh, when I got to my senior year, I was involved in some other things too, but I kind of realized, okay, bowling's going to be the one that takes me where I need to keep going, and so
Yeah.
I kind of took everything else and put it in a to the side for a little bit, and was lucky enough at that same time that the program was starting at Oklahoma Christian, and so
Wow.
it worked out. It's one of those things that we can't imagine it playing out any better, but it did. And so, I was an unsigned bowler. I thought about bowling in college, but it hadn't really realized to that point. And we're all the way in March, April timeframe, which is pretty late in a recruiting
Hmm.
cycle. And
Yeah.
and Coach Hayes reached out and said, "I'm starting this program. Do you want to come up for a visit?" And that's
Nice.
how all that started.
Man, I love that. You actually answered my next question. I was gonna ask like, and everybody has a story, right? Like I tell everybody my story on how I didn't even know college bowling existed. My high school, didn't have a bowling team and all of that. So I did what I could outside of that. But, you kind of already answered the question, but it was like, when did you realize that college bowling was an option for you? Because, like, again, back to me, I didn't even know it existed, but you knew that there was a path. And so you kind of put some things to the side and was like, I'm going to do this. So I love that. I think
Yeah.
that's really cool.
And
Yeah.
I have to give a lot of credit to the youth directors we have in this
Mm,
area, because they are the ones that are guiding and mentoring these youth, and a lot of the coaches do as well. But they will have to work together and let the players know what the options are.
yeah,
Because as you
that's
said, I
it.
think that one of the biggest hurdles to that journey for others is awareness.
Man,
Um,
say it again. Awareness. Thank you.
and
Yeah.
awareness outside of just your top five programs in the country. If you're a competitive youth bowler, you know the names of Wichita State, Jacksonville State, right?
Yes.
But there's so many opportunities out there, and there's so much
Yeah.
scholarship money out there, and there's great student athlete development opportunities out there. And
Yeah.
so, I kind of challenge that youth coordinators and high school coaches and youth coaches across the country lean into that. don't be afraid to
Yeah.
call a college coach and find out more information, because
Mhm.
we all, at the end of the day, we all want the same thing. We want the best for the student athlete. We want them to find the best
Absolutely.
opportunity. And there's an
Yeah.
academic portion that's really important to that as well. And so, making phone calls, establishing those connections, inviting us out to tournaments is amazing. I'll give one shout out real quick to somebody who does it best. Jeff Wirtz with his Great Lakes Junior Gold Showcase he does in early August is one of the
Hmm.
most fantastic events. What makes it fantastic is he reaches out to college coaches and invites them to come.
Mm.
He gets a little bit of information about their program and then passes that in an email thread and a Facebook thread to all the participants. Hey, these coaches are going to
Wow.
be here from these universities.
Yeah.
They have a women's team, they have a men's team, their
Yeah.
NCAA, their club. And so it prepares the students going into this tournament, which has a little showcase portion where they get to meet with coaches as part of it.
That's great.
Preparedness. But what does
Yeah.
that come back to? It comes back to just awareness.
Exactly. Man, thank you for that shout out. And I think I've heard of that one, but I'm gonna have to go take a look and maybe I can bring him on to have a conversation because, yeah, more people should be doing it in that way. So I love that so much. So gonna shift gears just a little bit. You competed collegiately not too long ago. What made you want to move into coaching? And I always talk about this. I'm gonna always say it. And I wouldn't say I was affected, but I was one of those that graduated college and I just didn't know all my options. So I wanted to stay within bowling. Didn't really know what that looked like. There are a couple paths you can go on tour. Some will go and actually work in a bowling center, manage a bowling center. Coaching was never really on the table. I was never really talked to about it. I was at my peak, right? So just kind of want to hear from you kind of what that transition looks like for you from when you were bowling and you're like, boom, now you're a coach. Because if you look at a lot of our college coaches, they're, a little older. And I get mixed up on the Gen X's and the whatever, baby boomers, but they're those, right? And so I just want to talk about that because typically you don't see that someone coming right out of school and hopping, right? Because we're still trying to mature and we're trying to figure out life and doing all these things. So yeah, I want to talk a little bit about that and what that looks like for you.
Yeah, it's a crazy story. And I will input an element. A lot of it is on the basis of my Christian faith and
Okay.
and praying about it and letting God lead me and guide me to where
Yeah.
I was going to go because there was so many things at play. But I can break it down in a short explanation. Um, when I was a senior at Oklahoma Christian, I had a couple health issues that kind of kept me from competing as much as I wanted to. And, I Coach Hayes at the time started showing me the other side of things, the management side, the decisions, some of the finer things that a coach has to do behind the scenes for bowling. I was like, this is pretty cool. Like, maybe I can keep this in the back pocket and maybe I'll do it one day. And, at the same time, I had graduated. I had an internship. The company on which I had an internship with had an office in Dallas, and so it was kind of a natural thing to move back home and continue my career there as a marketing professional because my both my degrees are in marketing. And
Nice.
it also made sense. My dad's health was not good at the time, and so move back home, be there to provide and help. And at the same time, my sister had just graduated high school. She was a basketball, softball player in high school, and she got to junior, senior year of high school, and how they get a little bit political sometimes, and she kind of lost her love for it. Well, my dad was still coaching the high school bowling team, so he said, you know what, you can bowl. So she started bowling. She
Nice.
started bowling a little later, and
Okay.
so maybe she wasn't at the step where maybe it was as confident for her to take that step and bowl collegiately as it was for me. But there was one school that made an effort to reach out and recruit her, and that was DBU. They were still a pretty newer program at the time, but they were more of a student-led program, and so she's like, "I'm going to go there and bowl." I was like, "Oh, that's fantastic!" And
Man.
just through that process, I offered to volunteer. I wanted to stay a part of collegiate bowling somehow, and the schedule kind of worked with what I was doing for work, and so I just was like, all right, I'm going to volunteer so I can stay around it and help out. And
Hmm.
that was year one for me. I was a volunteer assistant, just would go to the tournaments and help and mentor her and anybody else who's on the team. Just lean into what I just experienced. And I think that's valuable
Yeah.
because the bowling game and specifically the collegiate game looks a lot different now than it did 10, 15 years ago, maybe even 20
Yes,
years ago when some of our coaches in circulation did participate. Not saying they can't
absolutely.
evolve and learn and continue their education, but there's value to that relevant experience. And
Right.
so, uh, the dominoes continue to fall. The Lord works in mysterious ways, and I was offered
Yeah.
a coaching position. And so for the last 3 years, I was doing that. And I'll take the story a step further because this was kind of a more recent development, but I've stepped into a bigger role here at DBU as far as the director over all of our club sports programs, as well as business
Amazing.
operations and athletics. So I will still oversee the bowling program. Just from a little higher level as we start our women's program too, so I can oversee both the men and women. But I also want to say that as much as we're talking about coaching and college coaching, that doesn't necessarily stop the train of where a college coach could go career wise, especially somebody who gets into it at an age like I did. You can
Mhm.
continue your career in college athletics and go
Wow.
even
Yeah.
further.
Wow. So that's a lot to unpack. Oh my gosh, such an inspiration. There were a few things that you said that really stuck out to me. So one, get involved. Volunteer, get involved. What better way to learn, especially if it's something you want to learn more about or to see if it's something you're actually interested in. I love that. Volunteer, guys, get involved. And what I really love about the bowling industry is most people are helpful and willing. Oh, you want to learn this? Come on, come shadow me, come whatever. Like that is very common. And that's kind of how I learned how to do different things from running tournaments to this to that. Like that's exactly how I learned. So you guys heard it. Get involved. Get involved. If it's something that even while you're in school, if you want to know more about how to drill a ball, go to your local pro shop, and I'm guarantee you they will let you shadow. And they want you to learn because you are the next generation of what's to come when it comes to just our industry. So I love that so much. And then you touched on something else besides the coaching. Now you are now you've elevated, which is really awesome to see. Just your again, it's just so inspiring because the buck didn't stop for you at coaching, but also you kind of wanted more as well. From what you've said
Mhm.
and kind of what I'm learning about you, you kind of wanted to learn more as well to just see how much more you can make an impact too. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I think we think of college coaching as the end all be all sometimes,
Yeah.
which I will say in my 3 years as the head coach, like amazing experience, a lot of fun. I truly believe in student athlete development from the holistic standpoint. So for me, be able to spend time with my student athletes and
Yeah.
develop them as young men and women and disciple to them, I will always cherish that, and I think that's important, and that's an important part of the discussion. But if we want more, if coaches want to keep advancing their career into further opportunities, that does exist. I
I'm
feel
done.
like when we're talking about bowling, we're not talking about broader collegiate athletics and a lot of the same
No.
conversations, but we should, right?
Yes.
And you're seeing
Yes.
more and more schools start to do that,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the world of NAIA and what they're doing. But that also opens up opportunities for coaches to keep advancing as well and keep doing really amazing things.
I agree 1,000%. I've never really heard it put in that way, and you are correct. I'm thinking about, I have a lot of conversations, I connect with a lot of people, and it's not really being talked about. So this is so good. This is why I have the podcast. So good, so good. That's so good. That's golden. So want to shift gears a little bit to DBU. You've said a lot of things, but just kind of want to hear, right, kind of black and white about kind of the culture you've built, at DBU, and how do you feel that, you guys are unique, compared to other college bowling programs?
Yeah, and I appreciate you allowing me to speak on that because that is the most important thing, right? When we're talking about program to program, because for me, collegiate bowling, right? We want as many prospective student athletes that want to bowl at this level to do it, and there's a fit everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So if the fit's not me, I have a lot of coaching buddies who I can call up and say, I got this amazing student athlete. I don't have an academic program for them. That happens. That doesn't get talked about as much either.
No, it doesn't.
We want
No, it
what's best for
doesn't.
the student athlete. We want them to find the right opportunity, and that does exist. Whether it's club, NCAA, NAIA, USBC, there's the right aspect. What makes us unique is, and you touched on it, and I think that's the right word is culture. I do have to give a big shout out and gratitude to my athletic department here because the way they treat bowling is unlike really anything I've been around.
Hmm.
Um, and especially if we're talking on the USBC collegiate level, because that's where we compete. We're an NCAA school, but we don't compete in the NCAA realm for our women's program. Um, they provide us unparalleled support. We are
That's
treated
awesome.
like every other athletic program here,
Oh,
no,
that's
no matter
awesome.
what it is. And for me, that makes a big difference
Yeah.
because we're investing in the lives of these student athletes. We're giving them the resources to be successful, but we're not letting them go at it alone. And we're not letting them go at it without support. And so
Yeah.
that is the foundation of our culture. Is we
Mhm.
are athletes, right? And we carry ourselves that way. And the other thing we're known as far as a culture standpoint, we have a great time. It does not matter how we're performing, where we're going, what we're doing, what we're competing in, but you can hear us in the bowling center.
I love that.
We're loud and proud. We have a great time. Some of our favorite stories are from our trips that have nothing to do with the actual throwing a bowling ball portion of the trip, right? The
That's
stories from the
awesome.
hotel and the
Yeah.
meals and the travel and the airport, and just the funny stuff that happens along the way. Those are the stories that we laugh about all the time and remember. Um, but we're very proud. We're proud of DBU bowling in that sense. So we're not afraid to share it through just being ourselves out there on the lanes and being loud, being proud. But I also say that extends internally as well. Our bowlers
Mm.
assist our NCAA programs here with helping with their events and games. And so,
Oh
our,
man.
our
Oh,
bowlers will work soccer games, they'll work volleyball games, they'll work basketball games. They will support and show up to these other teams, whether they're spectators in the stands that are just as loud and proud there as they are on the lanes, or actually helping with the game itself. And so that's the kind of culture we have. And as we still are competitive and we want to win, don't get me wrong. But we also know that we're here to enjoy this time together. We're here to disciple to each other and develop each other. And that goes both ways between the coaches and players. The
mhm,
players push on me and my assistant coach all the time, and we push back, right? But we continue
mhm.
to grow and we have a great time doing it.
Man, I love that. I love that so much. And I'm just happy for you and your journey and what you've been able to build. And just shout out to you, seriously, like such an inspiration. I'm like, man, like I have some work to do. Like it's an inspiration, truly. It really, really is. We're gonna wind it down here. So I have like two more questions for you, and then maybe just anything you kind of want to add. What is one thing that you wish recruits knew about college bowling?
One thing that's tough. There's a lot of things I think they should know. I think the best way to put it would be no matter how good you are, what your experience is, where you're from, whether you had high school or not, there's a college bowling program for you. I
That's
think, especially on the women's side, I think we see it a little too often that they don't think they're good enough,
that
you
is
know?
true.
But in a reality, for a lot of our USBC collegiate programs, a 160, 170, 180 average bowler coming out of high school is really valuable to us and something we want and we can
Mhm.
work with and develop them. And, the sky's the limit on a lot of the players with that average range, I believe.
Yeah,
And so you're good enough and there's a program for you. The caveat to that is the program for you needs to be a decision for yourself that doesn't
yeah.
have to do with your bowling career. You got to have an academic first approach.
Hmm.
And what we talked about, you got to have a culture approach as well. You got to
Yeah.
qualify which teams you want to attend based on those things. Um, and I would be doing a disservice if I didn't shout out the other podcast I'm involved in. Pins on Campus, you can find it on YouTube. Me and my friend Mark Jeffries do that one. But if you go back and watch this last episode from Tuesday night, we talked about that. We talked
Okay.
about that selection and that process and making sense of recruiting and picking up the phone and asking the right questions and having the right path, but also the importance of communication in
Yeah.
that one as well.
Yeah. No, that's everything. So yeah, shout out to what's the name of your podcast again?
Men's on campus.
Pins and Campus.
On campus.
Oh, Pins on Campus. Yeah,
Yep.
I'm gonna have to go watch and binge. I think that's so good. And as you were kind of saying what you were just saying, kind of about the process, I think that deserves an episode on its own
Mm,
because a lot of people don't understand. And I think if they understood kind of the process a little bit more, they could be a little more prepared and prep and those types of things. How social media and Google and just the online, right? And how
mm.
the internet works, things just float. But I think that deserves an episode on its own. So I'm gonna have to go back and binge that.
Yeah.
That's really good.
'Cause I
So
feel like a lot of that currently falls on coaches, unfortunately, to educate as well as recruit.
I agree with that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with that 1,000%. Okay. My last question for you. This has been really great conversation. Viewers, like I hope you guys are really, Coach Byers has really dropped some good nuggets. So I hope you're taking notes. So college bowling, continues to grow every year. I feel like it's trending up, my opinion, right? And it's thriving. Looking ahead, maybe 5 years or so, what do you hope college bowling looks like?
Oh. Uh, my hope, and I'll break this down in a couple aspects. My hope from a governance standpoint is we find a way to kind of unify, because I believe we're stronger altogether, right?
Together. Yeah.
And yeah, I understand there's larger things at play here because you have NAI institutions, NCAA institutions, student-led club teams. But
Yeah.
if the work is done, we can be unified in a way that we can
Agreed.
all work together. And when we're all working together, I think the sport's better. And not only are we talking about collegiate athletics, but it also is a valid discussion. This is the future of the sport as well, because these people, these student athletes that are bowling in college, well, they're your next generation of league bowlers as well. This is an
Absolutely.
industry thing,
Hmm.
and so um, it goes down a lot of different facets. But I think that is important. I think unification of governance is important. But I think on the second side, I think a lot of universities need to take a look at what bowling means to them. I think when
Mm,
universities understand the revenue that they get, the return on investment from bringing bowlers into an institution, they deserve an investment back into them. We're blessed and lucky enough here at DBU that we have that.
yes.
But I would love to see a lot of student-led club teams get adopted either by the student life organizations at some of the universities or even athletics because they're providing a lot of revenue into the university with the
Yeah,
rosters that they carry. A
absolutely.
small investment back into them makes a big difference because if you can provide equipment, if you can provide better training opportunities, it makes everybody better, right?
Agreed. Yeah.
And it makes competition better. And I think what you're seeing in a lot of collegiate sports, whether it's football and basketball and baseball, uh, I think the most relevant example right now is the World Series is going on in Omaha for
Hmm.
college baseball, right? And if you look at the last 3 years, there's only one team that's made it more than once, right?
Yeah.
And so there's that parity, there's that competition. And look how wild the sport's being followed right now. You can say the same about college softball as well. So
Yeah.
when there's really good competition, the sport is better as well.
Yeah, no, agreed 1,000%. Oh, you hit on so many things, but we're gonna have to close it out. We're gonna have to close it out. But yeah, no, I agree with everything that you said. And those are some discussions that probably need to continue and need to be had. And I just couldn't agree more, honestly. But thank you so much, Coach, Beyer, for coming on. You gave a lot of nuggets today. You dropped a lot of knowledge. I really appreciate it. Make sure that you guys like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you guys on the next episode. Take care.